able to do this week as you prepare for this game, and where is Aaron in his progression to getting back to being full go?
Yeah, well, I think, it's been a busy couple days for our guys, certainly finishing up finals in handling their business academically. I think for Aaron, it's been good to get him back in the gym and kind of start his return to play. But, no real, I think, firm decisions as to, what the specific timeline is going to look like yet. I think we're still evaluating that. So, but, he's gotten a couple good workouts in, and I think that's kind of the extent of it right now.
As far as figuring out what that timeline looks like, is that just a physical, how is he doing, or are there other things that are at play there, figuring out that timeline?
Yeah, well, I think the first part is evaluating kind of where he's at, physically after being out for an extended period of time. So that's kind of what these initial days are for.
What are the initial impressions? Was he able to keep up on his fitness? Was he doing stuff when he wasn't with you guys?
I think he's got some room to kind of get back to where he was, when you prep, right, for in-season mode. So how long that'll take, we don't know yet.
The other injured players, Quest Clever, Colin White, just is there a hope that they'll be back for this game or anytime soon?
Yeah, I don't anticipate them being back yet, Steve. I do think, both those guys are moving in the right direction. Certainly open to being surprised come Saturday, but as of right now, don't anticipate that.
Looking at Auburn, I watched a couple of their games, and they seem very talented across the board, obviously ranked number 2. Janai Broom, just in particular, looks like he's a special player, potential NBA player. Just what do you see with him, I suppose?
Yeah, well, I think, listen, he can score it. He can make threes, scores it inside. He can score it off the dribble. I've also been really impressed with his passing, and he's an elite rebounder. So it covers almost everything there is to do offensively. He's a complete offensive player, and he's got really good shooting on the perimeter around him that makes it a real challenge defensively, game planning. But they're certainly a really good team that's well coached. But we're excited about the opportunity on Saturday.
Coach, can you just talk about, these kind of games, whether it was Texas A&M, now you've got number 2 Auburn, how scheduling those throughout the season, just you really see that growth from your guys after each one?
Yeah, I think we've talked about it. When you look on paper, we got one of the tougher non-conference schedules in the country, and it's certainly important for us to get these type of reps in before the bulk of the Big Ten season. This is a really good team, and what will most likely not be entirely neutral court with the proximity to their campus being down in Atlanta. But I think for us, it's a great opportunity for us to continue to grow as a team. We talked about it like this month as we get ready for the rest of Big Ten season is important for us to keep growing and moving forward. We got a great opportunity to show what we're capable of on Saturday in an NBA arena that I know our guys are excited to play in. So, Texas was a great experience for us. A couple of those other ones, not as great, but we did do some good things in some of those games that I think helped us, as this season has gone on and we've continued to grow and get better.
You've obviously known Michi for a long time. I know his game. It's been up and down since he's been back, at least statistically. What more do you need from him, or how do you work with him, I guess, to kind of get that more consistent level that he was able to show the last couple of years here in Scarlet and Gray?
Yeah, I think it's coming, because he's working, at a rate that's going to, reap the rewards, and a lot of it's film, a lot of it's individual work, And, you know, for us, I think the consistency at which he practiced with all fall really to me was a great indication of the totality of what his season could look like. Certainly hasn't played up to that level every single game, but I think he's done some really good things, and I thought last game was a great example. You know, didn't shoot it as well as he had shot it, you know, previously this year, but was able to be impactful in some other areas. I think he was, if I remember, a four assist, no turnover game. Defensively was better. So, you know, I trust his decision making. I think, again, those moments in the paint where he's got to continue to be really good for us. He got off to a rough start this year, you know, decision making in the paint, and he's been much better since. So he's got to be consistent with that. The shooting will be there, but that's the stuff for me that I'm evaluating, how consistently he's doing that and his impact defensively. You know, he had to steal and cause a turnover. Like that type of stuff has to be there every single game.
I think a lot of people, you know, he commits out of the transfer portal. He's a guy that's familiar with the program. You're familiar with him. It all makes sense on paper. How much more is there behind the scenes to getting this all to work for a guy like that? Not every transfer portal player, but a guy who, you know, has familiarity, but also is coming into a very different situation than the one he left.
Yeah, well, I think it's important to note there's a ton of differences, right? Different system, different program, same program but different program, I guess, right? And you know, he's familiar with Columbus, he's familiar with Ohio State. That stuff remains, but you know, even you know, he and our relationship was built when I was an assistant coach, not a head coach. So there's a ton of difference, and you know, I don't know if it's fair to just assume that transition was going to be significantly easier for him than maybe some other guys transferring in, because it is still really new for him. So, you know, on paper, kind of on the surface, I think it's easy to say, oh, this should be a smooth transition because of, you know, this and this. But in reality, it's very different than when he was here. He's a different player than when he was here is another part of it. So I think you're seeing that with all our transfers. You know, you're seeing a degree of growth happening. And for me, that's exciting because we've been able to really do some good things on the court thus far without like fully, you know, everybody operating at their maximum. So if we can get there, you know, we got to get there quickly. I think we're moving in the right direction. Injuries have played a factor in that as well. So there's a lot of moving parts, but as we continue to get more time together, and that's why I'm so excited about these next couple weeks and really leading into, you know, just after the new year, because we have time now. Got to get healthy, but we have time, and I think we'll start to see even more consistency than what we've seen so far.
Liked the connection between, or chemistry between, Michi and Bruce. I know that was talked about a lot this offseason, but having seen them on the court a lot now together, how do you feel like that's coming along?
Yeah, I think it's been really good. It's been really good. It's helpful when we can, and you know, Michi's not the only one who does this. I think Micah does it. You know, we need John Mobley to do it. We need him to probably do it more. When Bruce doesn't have to do all the playmaking and guys can play make for others, but also play make for him, because Bruce is such a good shooter as well. And it also makes us harder to guard. So I think having the multiple playmakers is really good for us. Those guys, the chemistry within our team is really good. I was nervous about that coming into June, and our guys, you know, it was obvious from the beginning across the board that there was great chemistry on this team. We couldn't make up for the lack of experience we had playing together, right? And I think I talked about this earlier. In the fall, we didn't get to play 5-on-5 really in the summer because of injuries. So that slowed us down maybe just a little bit, but I felt like we've recovered from that, and that on-court chemistry's I've been really happy with it.
The way Devin's played recently, the scoring, the rebounding, the defense, is there a thought to still have him in the starting lineup when Aaron is back to full go?
Yeah, I think our starting lineup is fluid. we have, more than 5 starters on this team. And I know that only 5 get to hear their name called. I think what I like about this group is, we have different lineups we can play at the end of games when it's really, really important for us to be able to, win that segment. And so I trust Devin. I think Devin's earned, he's certainly earned the right to play as well as he has because of how he's worked. And right now his production certainly is scoring, but I think most importantly his rebounding is going to be really hard for me to look out there and say, man, we need to have him on the court less because he's been so productive, and that's been an area of emphasis for us, and he's really stepped up. So, yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't thought about, starters, anything beyond this next game. And, I think it's certainly a luxury to be able to have in the back of your mind multiple, more than 5 guys capable of starting and being impactful. So, but I do understand that you got to make that decision come game night. But right now the focus is just one game at a time.
Talked about it a little bit with Pat, but what's your approach when you have a full week like this to prepare for a team? Is it all Auburn specific? Is it a balance of Auburn specific and working on stuff that's kind of ongoing trends you need to work on? Like, how do you approach a full week like this?
Yeah, it's both. It's both. I think Auburn's a really good team. Arguably the best team in the country right now thus far this season. So we wanted to certainly, not wait till today to start focusing in on them. But there were some things coming out of the last couple games that, for us to get to where we want to go, we needed to spend some time working on that maybe wasn't solely focused on how it could impact the game on Saturday. So I think the answer is yes. We did both. We focused on, getting us to keep moving and growing, but we also took advantage of some of this extra time to work specifically on prepping for Auburn.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about Bruce Pearl. I know that you were at Vanderbilt when he was, I guess, starting up at Auburn. Have you crossed paths with him at all in your guys' careers, and what do you, I guess, think of him as a coach and just overall?
I think he's a really good coach. I have a ton of respect for him, and I've gotten to know his son a little bit just because we were both assistant coaches in the SEC, and I think what he's done at Auburn's been really impressive. And he coaches with a passion and an energy that is you could probably wonder why I like that. But I appreciate, and really respect what he's been able to do there. And so I think he's a big part of why they're so good. Certainly talented. It's not to take away from their talent, but make no mistake, he's got them playing as one of the absolute best teams in the country right now.
Yeah, their freshman guard, Pettiford, I feel like he kind of matches that energy that Bruce Pearl has. What kind of jumps out to you on the film when you see him?
His speed, with the ball in his hands, and I think his ability to make tough shots. He's got deep range. He can shoot it off the catch. He can shoot it off the bounce, and he's fast with the ball. And he plays with a confidence, that you can jumps out at you on film. So he's been really, really good, so far this year. And we gotta make sure that we're dialed in. He's an important part of the scouting report.
A couple times when Bruce has been announced in the starting lineup here, he's been announced as the captain. Is he officially a captain at this point?
I think I would say yes. We haven't necessarily, I think, stopped practice and announced that, but Bruce is our leader, and my intention was to make that clear at a specific time this year. So, yeah, I guess it's not really a secret anymore, Adam, thanks. Not that it was a secret to anybody, but I think most importantly, we have a leadership team, and that's kind of the way I've viewed it. And I think at times that leadership team grows. That's just kind of my philosophy. But make no mistake, Bruce is our leader, and this will put him, I guess, 3-time captain so far, which is, speaks a lot about who he is. So, yeah, but his leadership isn't the only one that's important for us, and we've relied on other guys to help us in that regard.
Right. He's been a 2-time captain and a leader on this team.
Yeah,
so I
get
just
that.
wanted to try to
I understand that. Yeah.
So-
Does that give you enough clarification?
Yeah, that's a big help. Yeah.
I understand where you're coming from. No problem.
And I, last year when you guys played in Atlanta, Bruce being back at home, he had a really difficult first half, and you guys ultimately pulled that game out. But what do you expect from him going back home this time? Older, 3-time captain. What do you expect from him being back in his hometown?
I expect him to play well. Whether we're in Atlanta or Columbus or really anywhere, I expect him to play well. And I don't think he'll go into the game. I don't anticipate him treating this game any different. I think that the biggest thing is he'll get to see some more family and some more friends, potentially before and after. But he's so mature, and his approach is consistent no matter what. It doesn't matter if we're going into an exhibition game or we're going into a game in Atlanta. His approach has always been the same. And so I don't anticipate that changing. I don't know necessarily that, last year being in Atlanta was the reason, he struggled in the first half, if I remember correctly. Felt like everybody struggled in the first half of that one. So, yeah, I think, listen, I'm happy he gets to go home and play. I think it's really cool when guys get to do that. I'd love to. It's harder the way rosters are built and kind of not knowing, right, who not fully knowing what your team looks like until later, but still trying to figure out scheduling. I think, Homer Drew did that for a lot of us when we were in school, and I think it's pretty cool to be able to do that for guys to be able to go home. Like I played here, Greg Oden's first game. So doesn't always work where you get to do that for everybody, and especially when, you don't know till later who all's on your roster. But I think to be able to do that this year for him is great. Did you have one more, Steve, or are you good? No, that was one. Good? Okay.